Good morning. Today is the 18th day of Kislev, the 1st of December. And we are continuing with Mitzvah Tzitzi. And where are we? We are on the top of 31, no?
We're on the fringe of turning the corner.
Uh-huh.
On the fringe, got it?
Right. And now, okay. What is this?
We're deducting in 5 shekels.
What does it mean? What does it mean that because ulefishu nala yoter, after the parentheses on the bottom 30. Ulefishu nala yoter, this type of light, which we call the encompassing light, and it's the type of light that we receive as a result of doing a mitzvah, but we don't see it. We have no experience of it. This will only be experienced in the world of the resurrection. But because it comes from a much higher source, because the unlimited aspect of Hashem is higher than the limited aspect of Hashem, clearly, then it can be experienced and enjoyed eventually by a body.
When
But
you
the,
say do a mitzvah, so it's all makif, so you want to say that because there's no reward of the mitzvah in this world, that it can only be makif until
right,
later on.
right. That's one meaning. But what we really mean is we can't experience it right now. What will happen later on is it's not that it will stop. Okay. When it is revealed, it's not that it will stop being a makif. We'll just see the makif. There's another explanation, I don't know which one is right, that the makif will become pnimi. That what used to be a makif will now become pnimi.
So it can be felt.
Right, so it can be experienced. I don't know which one is right. There's two different...
Makif just relates to the person himself. It doesn't mean all makif klali, the olam, the world,
It's at both levels. It's at both levels. Because whole world...
When I do a mitzvah, and it's all makif, that also affects you?
Oh, that's what you're asking. So when you learn Torah, does it affect me?
Yeah, sure.
How?
But
Yeah, but what experience do I have? Okay, but that's also true by any mitzvah right now. There's no difference. We're talking about whether you can experience it or not. Not whether it affects the entire world. Of course every mitzvah affects the entire world. That's not the question. We said affectation is not the question. The question is experience. There's no experience.
So I just learned somewhere when the man puts on tzitzi,
Yeah.
then that affects his wife.
Beseder, fine, but she doesn't experience it. She has no experience of him he doesn't have an experience of himself putting on tzitzit.
So it's the same with him and the same with her. They both get the same thing, whatever it is.
And I don't know if they get the same thing, but they both don't experience it. Whatever they get, they don't experience, because it's makif. By the way, this is all leading to the fact that, we're wearing, remember I already told you that the garment itself, the moment you put tzitzis on it, what you have is a taste of the world to come. That's why the fringes bring it down into experience. We'll talk about that in the next section afterwards. But the whole idea is that we're bringing down something of a taste. That what's the verse that he used to tell us that in the future, the one who commands will be revealed. V'lo yikanef od morecha, right? Your instructor, the one who commands you, will no longer be concealed. Because that's the way it is now, that Hashem who commanded all these commandments, he's concealed because I don't feel anything when I do a commandment. What's the verse? Will no longer be concealed. Velo yikanif. What is kanif? It's a very strange word. It comes from the word kanaf. Where do we have knafot? What do we call tzitzis? Arba knafot.
Corners.
Yeah. So a corner is also, as it were, it's a concealment. Velo yikanif. When you put the fringes on, you reveal the concealed. That's the idea behind it.
At the end of the corner, you don't know where you're going. When you turn around,
Okay.
you can't see.
That was yesterday's daf in Baba Kama. Yeah. Hezek when somebody's going. That's one of the terutzim that's given in Tosfos. So when you turn a corner, right? Corner is you don't, and it says it, when you turn a corner, you're not liable because how could you see? Right? There's a few instances in which a person walking down the road and breaking something is not liable for damages. One of them is when you turn a corner because you couldn't see. So a corner is connected to concealment because I don't see what's after the corner. That's probably right. So in any case, so there's a question here, what's going to happen? Is it that the makif will become pnimi? The usual way it's explained in Kabbalah that I remember now, and in Chasidut, is this one actually, that the makif becomes pnimi. That what was encompassing is integrated. And then this person says, so what about now? There's no makif? It says there's a new makif. There's a new encompassing light which is even higher. So the other option, which he seems to say here, I don't remember that he says otherwise, we'll see, is that the makif becomes revealed. As a makif, it becomes revealed, meaning we have an ability to experience something higher. And that seems to be more of what he's saying.
So it's a higher makif.
No, it's the same makif.
It's
but our body will enjoy it.
Okay.
The body will have an experience of it.
I see.
It's a very important thing, this thing with the body. That's why we say that in the future the body will receive, the soul will receive from the body. Why? Because the soul, as we said, is pnimi. The soul is the integrated light. It's what experiences. The body is receiving from the encompassing light. The soul cannot perceive that. So that's why in the future the soul will receive revelations of godliness from the body, because the body will be able to experience the makif. Only the body can. By the way, how do we experience the makif? What do you call experiencing the makif? What do you call that? When somebody experiences, that's why I told you should have come yesterday to chapter 9 in the Tanya deals with this whole issue. And he says that all the experience that we have, all the joy that we have in the body is related to our element of water. Why? Because he says it's a very common thing that water brings about all manners of pleasure. I don't know if it's stable or unstable, but that's what brings it about. So you need to have water. The problem is that water without the Spirit of God above it, like it says in the beginning of creation, there was water and the Spirit of God hovering over it. So before we get into what the Spirit of God was, but let's just say Spirit of God. So that means that water by itself is seeking pleasure. What kind of pleasure does it have? The only pleasure it has is physical pleasures. So that's why you get that a person who is following Torah, who's doing mitzvos, he's dry. He's always dry. Don't you notice this? The people that are living their life according to Torah are dry. Hold on, wait. But a regular person, and even Chabadnikim, I would say, are dry. Why? Because there's no joy in it. You can't get any pleasure from it. You're only doing what you were commanded. It's very troubling. You don't think it's troubling? The rest of the world is having fun. They're enjoying their bodies, and we're taking away from our bodies. What's going on here? Because we say we don't want that type of enjoyment. We don't want the body to just enjoy physical pleasures. We would like the Spirit of God to hover above it. What does it mean for the Spirit of God to hover about? Spirit, that's already pnimi. Spirit is meditating on God. That's how he explains it in chapter 9 of the Tanya. But in the future, the Spirit will be the Spirit of Mashiach, it says. The Spirit of God hovering above is revealed to be the Spirit of Mashiach. What's so special about Mashiach? In the time of Mashiach, we will go back to experiencing, like they did in the time of the temple, experiencing the makif. That's what the temple is. The temple is a transformer without which you cannot experience the encompassing light. You need that transformer in the world. So what happens in time of Mashiach? Everything comes back. So you get an inkling of it in every shul, and especially in 770. You get an inkling of it in every Bet Mikdash Me'at, every small temple that you build, which is a shul.
Now or then?
No, now, even now you get something of it. You get something. It's not the full thing, but it's something. What are we saying? What will happen in the time of Mashiach? In time of Mashiach, all the mitzvahs will come back. Everything will come back. That's how the time of Mashiach is defined by the Rambam. Maimonides defines the time of Mashiach as a time when we are able to perform all the mitzvot again. Today we can only perform 270 out of 613. Because most of them are dependent on the temple. And then everything will come back. Now, people today say, what do you mean, we're going to bring sacrifices? What am I going to do with the sacrifice? A person thinks about a sacrifice. He says, I eat cows, I don't sacrifice them. Why do I need to, what is this stuff? Like, what do we get out of this? It's a stupid question. Why is it a stupid question? It's a real question, but without the temple, you can't experience it. Meaning, all these mitzvot, even the other mitzvot that you do, you put on tefillin, you don't feel anything. Without the temple, there's no transformer to turn the encompassing light into inner light. You don't experience anything. So you're asking me about slaughtering animals for sacrifices? Ask me about tefillin. Ask me about tzitzik. You don't feel anything anyway. So that's your problem. Your problem should be everything you do. But the moment that the temple is built, in the same way that you will understand why you put on tefillin, because you'll get the joy, the pleasure out of it physically, when you bring a sacrifice, you'll feel it. It won't be any different. It'll be the same. You need the temple to create that transformation from encompassing light into something that we can experience.
Second temple didn't have that.
It was missing 5 aspects, but still they felt some of it.
Okay.
You're right. It wasn't the complete. The real complete experience was in the first temple,
yes.
And even there we say that there were certain things that didn't work, and the real complete experience will be in the third temple. That's what it really means. So when you say Mashiach, you say, now I'm going to have the temple. When I have the temple, then all the mitzvot begin to have the experience. So like Yaakov said correctly, in 770 there was a feeling of something of it already. It's called Ahava b'Tanugim. That's what the Alter Rebbe calls it in chapter 9 of the Tanya. It's love that has pleasure in it. Because normally love of God has no pleasure.
You're saying it was a spiritual thing or created by the achdus of the people there.
You need the temple. It's not just the achdus.
So no, but in 770.
There it's because of the Rebbe, I think.
There what?
There it's because of the Rebbe,
okay,
I think.
Okay, I hear you.
That's what I think it is.
Okay.
But it could be that it's also related to that he creates the achdus and everything.
Yeah, right. It's both.
And that's why they call it a Beit Masim Tovim. The Rebbe himself called it a house of good deeds. And when you say Masim Tovim, what do you mean? You mean mitzvot. Mitzvot. Okay, anyway. These are very important concepts because this is what Chasidus rests on. And unfortunately, I've looked in different books to explain this transformation of the makif into pnimi, and at least my reading is not very extensive, but I didn't see much treatment of it. But this is a very important aspect. So again, the inner light, the inner revelation of God, which is the experience we have through the soul, that can only come so far down. So it only comes down to the soul. It's called the Spirit of God hovering over the waters. Or in our case, it's integrated into us. There is a spirit that's integrated into us that's called the soul. And so you get some experience of goodness, of godliness when you learn Torah, when you pray. The mitzvot that have something to do with the inner essence of the person. And really, it can only be revealed to souls without bodies. So he says, what is this called in Kabbalah? In Kabbalah, they call this the crown. The crown is the makif. The crown is the encompassing light. The encompassing light is in the crown, and you get some inkling in it, you get a glimmer of it through what comes down through wisdom, through chokhmah. And that the Tanya is full of. There's a lot of it. Usually, we don't talk in the Tanya. It seems that we don't talk about the crown. The reason we don't talk about the crown is because the Tanya is trying to get us to work mostly with the crown that comes through the wisdom. So therefore, he almost doesn't mention the crown. He almost always mentions the wisdom because he's working on inner experience. But there's a big switch that happened in our generation.
No.
Okay? A very important switch. Very important change. The Rebbe stopped focusing. He didn't drop it altogether. But he stopped focusing on what we call inner experience, which would be talking about the type of experience we get from learning Torah, and he switched to talking about mitzvos, about doing commandments. It's not that before they didn't do commandments, but what did the Rebbe say? The whole world has to get ready for this transformation that's going to happen. Now imagine that you have nothing. You have nothing for you have no you haven't gathered any encompassing light because you haven't done any mitzvot. When the transformation comes, you're going to feel naked because you won't have any encompassing light. Suddenly the encompassing light will be felt. What will it feel like? Like a garment around you. It's going to feel like a garment around you. And so the person who doesn't have any mitzvot,
there's no plea.
Will feel naked.
Yeah.
There's nothing covering me. The transformation is going to come. All the encompassing light is going to be revealed, at least partially, and you're suddenly without anything. So how are you going to be able to walk around in this new world if you're naked? You feel ashamed. You can't walk around. And that's what it means that every Jew has to come out of Galus. Every Jew has to come out of the exile. The exile is a state in which the encompassing light is not revealed. Because that's what it means. It means there's no temple. No temple. Again, what happened to Adam and Eve when they were thrown out of the first temple, it's called? They felt naked. They suddenly realized they're naked. What were they until now? Until now they had encompassing light. That was their garment. That's what we call garments of light. That's what Rebbe Meir wrote in his Torah. In his Torah, he wrote on the colophon on the side, instead of O, he put a little notch, and he put O with an aleph. Instead of O with an ayin, he put O with an aleph. Why? Because he says they were clothed with the encompassing light, because that's what Garden of Eden was like. Again, for us, Garden of Eden now means only inner light, only inner experience. For them back then, before they were cast out of the Garden of Eden, when you say they were cast out of the encompassing light. So now they're left only naked. So the Rebbe says, how we're coming upon the transformation now. So when this transformation happens, so half the Jews are going to be without clothing? 3/4 are going to, so we call it spiritual. But it's spiritual now. It's spiritual now because we don't experience it. But imagine that at one moment you would suddenly feel all the mitzvot you have done. The encompassing light would be revealed to you. So a person who doesn't have this will not be able to go outside in public.
Showing your kindness to those people. That doesn't affect. Look, 80%.
Have a great Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
80%, they say that's one of the she felt that they were lost in Makkah Farah.
Yeah.
20% got out.
Right.
So in other words, there's a lot of darkness. There's maybe 20% of the Jews now who are Shomer Shabbos, correct?
No,
Maybe
probably less.
Okay. So, is there any other reason for the Rebbe to, and I know he promulgated this, other than chesed to the ones who aren't? Does it affect us that they're not? In this,
I don't know.
okay, you hear my question.
I don't know.
This goes back to the whole thing. Should we be, our resources go to keep our communities safe and the kids good, or to makar? This is a classic dilemma. Where do we put our money?
So one way I can
You
answer
hear what
it.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't
So one
have
way I
an
can
opinion
answer it.
on this.
One way I can answer it
Yeah.
is that it's like tzedakah. Your resources are limited. Your resources are limited.
Yeah, of course.
So you can't. But if someone doesn't have what to eat and what to wear, he comes before you.
I hear what you're saying. That's a good way to put it. And spiritually,
That's what
that's
where they are.
definition.
They have nothing to eat,
I
no
understand.
Torah,
I understand.
and they have nothing to wear. Now, again, if you're you can say physical resources, meaning do they actually have something to eat?
No,
and
that
something
we know they have.
They
Yeah.
have.
Too much of it. Yeah.
Now we're talking, and we also have enough.
Yeah.
So the question now becomes, what about our clothing?
I
What about our encompassing light?
understand.
So we have enough clothing. There's no
Yeah.
question that we have enough.
Yeah.
I should be spending, I think that it means I should be spending my resources on getting everybody clothed.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah, no.
end here.
Yeah.
We'll get a chance to continue Bezrat Hashem
not
next
that I
week.
have any problem about McCarthy.
No, I
but,
understand, I
and
understand.
don't get me wrong. Yeah.